I like strong women because it's good to see leadership in women and that they represent a part of the population and they have an influence.
I like the fact that one day I will be able to be a mom and can know what it's like to have that bond with my child that I brought them into the world.
So I think I'm a feminist, and I think the reason because of that is that I was mentored by a teacher of mine, Patty Duncan, on semester at C, who was amazing and just showed me a great perspective on the experiences of women domestically and globally. And I really feel that more people, men and women, need to hear these messages. And I think that more people need to become activists for women because women are amazing people and their cause is one that's extremely invaluable and probably the most important in society today, in my opinion. And women just rock.
I have two favorite female role models. One of them is my mom because she's done so much for me and for everyone in our family, and she has fulfilled a lot of her dreams. And my second is Julie Andrews because she's in my favorite movies from when I was little, and she also has aged gracefully, and she's very successful and hasn't gotten into any scandalous situations.
Woman of impact is someone who is involved in their community and preferably has superpowers.
Ser una mujer para mí significa ser madre, y una vez que lo experimentas te das cuenta el significado tan grande que es para ti.
Women have really guided and provided direction for the University of San Diego. Obviously, starting as a women's college, as a place where the education of women was the highest priority, and even when the university blended, when the men's college for men and college for women joined together, that was not lost. And it particularly wasn't lost because of the leadership of women. Mother Rosalie Hill, as the founder of the university, and her strength and perseverance and efforts to create the university. And then Sister Fury, who was the provost, who was a powerful advocate for the importance of education for all, but never apologized, I think, for the importance of education of women. And then now with Dr. Lyons, with Julie Sullivan, with Carmen Vasquez, with Mary Boyd, all in very important and strong leadership roles, providing direction, strategic planning, and really supporting the mission of the university.
There's nowhere on your list that says anywhere about choosing voice or choosing your expression, because as you may or may not know, there in certain cultures or even gender issues, women aren't allowed to speak. Women aren't allowed to voice how they feel or give meaning to what they're going through in their experiences. Mm-hmm. And such a word is, as you know, is muted. So right. A lot of women have been muted by men, have been muted by cultural groups, have been muted for generations, and I think part of my job here at USD is to make sure that women and other minority groups don't feel muted.
I've been reflecting on the role of females in the growth and development of the University of San Diego, and I've worked here. This is my 26th year working here, and I've had the pleasure of working with a lot of great female leaders, including Sister Fury, who was our provost for 30 years. And she was a strong role model to me in her work ethic and her discipline. And then lately we've had two female presidents. We have a female who's our vice president for student affairs. I have a female boss. So all around me I'm surrounded by great women who inspire me, and I think they have a way of not only giving me direction, but also doing it in a way that makes me feel good about my contributions to the university and to the university community particularly. They seem to be more aware of implications on the community than some male leaders might be who just are like top down.
Well, I teach the Introduction to Gender Studies course, and so in that course I try to focus on gender identity as it intersects with other identities such as race, class, nationality, religion, and so on. But in all my classes I teach some element of gender inequality or gender equality. So even in Introduction to Philosophy courses, which typically focus on male thinkers, as the history of philosophy has been focused and generated around men and male thinking, I try to incorporate some element of feminist thinking, feminist critique of past figures to show students that gender is an issue in every intellectual movement or political movement. And so in that way I try to get gender identity, gender issues, gender equality issues into all my classes, except logic, which there's no place for it there.
I've called myself a feminist at least since I was 14. I know that I have called myself a feminist since I was 14, but I probably was a feminist from the time I was able to walk or talk at some point. I always thought that women should make their choices, do what they want to do, and do it with gusto. I started out in my own leadership positions at the age of 21. I was the president of the San Luis Obispo County Commission on the Status of Women at that age. And so I know that young women can do it all because I had done it myself. So when I came to USD, I came here with the feeling that women were supported and that their energies and leadership capabilities were supported through many programs. And so I was able to work with a number of young women who then went on through classes because of classes that I taught that taught them about how women can be wonderful, strong leaders that serve with gusto. They would go on to jobs on Capitol Hill. And so it's through teaching I was able to pass on these leadership experiences. It is through working with women as research assistants. It was through co-directing the gender studies program. And it is also in making sure that we hire people who teach here at USD who are sensitive to women's issues, who want to support women, who don't even ask questions or even think twice about the fact that women and men should be able to do the same things.
Okay, one feminist principle that I think I use a lot in my classes is the idea of mutual respect. I think that in encouraging people to think about political science and to think about politics, one thing that feminism has definitely emphasizes and that is very important to political dialogue is the idea that everybody's ideas are important and that everyone needs to listen to each other, which is definitely a characteristic of women and feminists, and that everyone can and should learn from. That dialogue is important, and that sticking to your views without really engaging with other people is not a way to learn. So I think that that's something that feminism contributes to our community.
Well, gender is a very important aspect of identity, and as a feminist researcher and feminist scholar, I think that it's important in every class to challenge students to think about their own identities, their own social locations. And so how I do that within my ethnic studies classes is that I challenge students to really think about the forces of colonialism and patriarchy in our society. And in doing so, we understand how the historical forces and inequalities undermine social justice and harm everyone in our society. So after we have that critical discussion, then I really try to engage the students to brainstorm ways that we can work collectively to dismantle systems of inequality and bring about healing for all peoples. So I think that the principles that really guide my leadership in teaching and scholarship are diversity, education, and mentoring, and community building.
I am a woman of impact.
She's a woman of impact.
Thanks, Onar. I'm a woman of impact.
Soy una mujer con impacto.
Okay.
We are women of impact.
I am a woman of impact.
I'm a woman of impact.
I am a woman of impact.
We are women of impact.
I am a woman of impact.
We are women of impact.
We are women of impact.